Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Hello and a warm welcome to yet another edition of our series Talking Tales. And it gives me immense pleasure and privilege to welcome Neville Tuli to this particular episode. Now, some of you might know, some of you who are from the field of art and culture, or archiving to be more precise, might be knowing Neville Tuli. But for the benefit of those who have just heard the name but don't know him much, let me hazard a guess as to what he is actually. He's a writer, he's a collector, he's a researcher, he archives. Neville, as I welcome you to the program, would you allow me to term you, for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, a cultural angel investor of sorts?
No, it's not really. It's one facet. It's unfortunately it's a bit more larger has been the ambition and the objectives and what we've tried to do and what we've actually done. I came back home in 1993 and
home as in?
India.
Okay.
I was born outside of India, and the first 30 years by and large were outside and the last 30 years in India. And I realized that at the heart of our unable to fully be ourselves in our own eyes, let alone the eyes of the world, the educational system was really quite broken. Apart from India's building of the IITs, if the IITs had not been built, India would be truly struggling as a nation. And because we gave that privilege and importance to mathematics, engineering, and science and medicine, India could build that great industrial base and have a certain great team of engineers, people comfortable with mathematics, so that when the IT revolution came, India was at the forefront of that process. Now you imagine if that had not happened and see the state of our developmental framework. We would be deeply suffering. And what happened because of that focus, the arts, social sciences, and humanities were totally neglected. They were not given any kind of real responsibility in nation building or in the development of our people's attitudes, sensibilities, mindsets. And that led to a very insecure human relationship framework within such a diverse civilization such as India. And that led to further injustices. It led to a deep insecurity. And worst of all, it has led to a very deep distance from the public's relationship with India. Who are we in respect to India? What are her values? What has she stood for? What has been her history? What is it in her that we have respected, we have loved? What have we imbibed? How can we call ourselves Indian? On what basis are we who we are? Because if you understand the history of scholarship on India, which is not a science, it's an arts, humanities, social sciences subject, it's come from the West. It has never been really written by us and told to the world or our own people. It's by and large been written by those who saw us from the outside and assumed this is how we are, this is what India is, this is how she stood. The systems, the methodology, the framework has been totally inadequate. So my objective has been one objective for the last 30 years. And I remember writing it on a piece of paper that size, gave it to my friend, that this is what needs to be done over the next 30 years. And here I am, 30 years later. And for the first time, we now have a platform which is about to hopefully sensitize and change our educational framework in a systematic, meaningful way, which will help us know ourselves better, be true to ourselves with more confidence, with a sense of there's no entitlement. You know, the government should have done what I actually did. It wasn't the role of, because to do what has been done has destroyed virtually everything else in one's life. But it was a critical need that India get access, free access to the highest knowledge bases with love and total fairness and openness. And that should have been done many, many years ago. It hasn't. And then our education system took so many turns. Fair enough. It's part of the process.
Neville, it just struck me, the 7th of May is Gurudev Rabindranath Thakur's birth anniversary. And I don't know why, having gone through the entire exhibition and its various constituents, I was suddenly reminded of Gurudev's immortal lines, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. You are also a lot into helping children develop the skill of intellectual inquiry. Are you also connecting the digital world
to them?
With your endeavor?
Well, yes, the digital world is pivotal today. I was hesitant for the first 15 years. I myself, especially for the world of art and culture, one felt that the original art object loses something the moment you transform it into a thumbnail and you put it into that framework, that energy, that inspiration that you see in the physical object will get diluted, and its educational potential will get affected. But I was wrong. It's always it's a double-edged sword. There's so much in the digital world which is bringing the human mind to a lower level. You're losing your memory, you're losing your levels of concentration, you're moving around with so many distractions. The nature of the knowledge which is being shared by and large is relatively superficial. And it's a very different experience when you go into books, you contemplate, you imagine, you have time to go through many things simultaneously in a different way. But I became a father at a very late age in life, and I've seen my daughter day by day evolve, and you can see how the human mind is really attracted to the moving digital images and how that excites the mind. It brings a certain joy, and you have to find the balance between bringing the knowledge that the old-fashioned introspective deep commitment to subject has, and using the platform of the internet to explain that. Now that is what we have done with tuliresearchcenter.org. And to do that, we had to first make a radical change in the source of knowledge. See, India's been deeply affected by text. She has believed that Saraswati sits in the written word, that she is in the text. She has never really privileged the visual as a source of knowledge on par with the text.
Okay.
She doesn't know how to read the visual, the public. Scholars, academics, they're not trained to do that. And as a result, because they see it, they dismiss it. Okay, I've seen it, I've understood it. Nothing of the kind. There's great wisdom, knowledge. You can write essays on one artwork. You can do as deeper understanding. If you understand the grammar of the visual, the syntax, there's line, there's form, there's composition, there's texture, there's color, there's a whole host of, like the ABC Akhaga, that defines and allows you to go deeper into what the visual is saying. So the first task was to create this jugalbandi between the visual and the text as a source of knowledge.
Neville, you've just added another shade to the dictum, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
And then the audio, because the trinity of knowledge, you can call it your Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, is the union of the visual, textual, audio. And for a country like ours, where so many oral traditions have been destroyed, and so many of our histories are still in the oral arena, it was fundamental that we bring these three worlds together and express it with a new sense of joy and integrity, so that the young minds get excited. And that's why the conceptual framework, I had to focus on one area. So my area became, in the last 6 years, even though it's 30 years of research, that, imagine, there's over 21,000 institutions of learning in the world, university, colleges, senior schools, and not one 3-year undergraduate course on modern and contemporary India studies. So I ask you a very simple question, which I ask myself. Who are the experts on India? How is India being shared with the world? Who is she? What has been her journey? What does she stand for? What are her values? Who are those who have played a fundamental role? What is the institutional framework? What is the nature of the daily values on which she functions and tries to be herself? And to take that on, one then conceptualized a new framework across 16 research categories, so that understanding India could become this deep, meaningful framework for all the great universities of the world. And that is what essentially we've conceptualized. And now as we share it with the world, you can see already the kind of energy that is eaten into the young minds, the faculty, the scholars, because it's been looked at through one mind, first of all. My 30-year journey has seen me cross arts, cinema, architecture, the popular arts, the economics of culture, the nature of travel, the nature of social responsibility of the creative mind, the relationship between animals, humans, and nature, the religious, spiritual, poetic, philosophical frameworks we build, our relationship with the rest of the world, the manner by which scholarship has been documented and archived over the last 250 years. And our focus has been this 250 years.
But Neville, tell me something. In order to attract students to your website, have you taken care to convey the impression that it's not just another academic exercise? A student might as well have a look at it through the hobby lens as well, and thereby gain a lot.
No. When you see the website, it's the world's single greatest search engine first. It's an archive. It's a knowledge base where the basic unit is an object. It's an object which is first and foremost visually powerful. Then it is contextualized perfectly with its captioning. Then that context is linked, each object is linked with all the institutions, individuals, locations, ideas, films. And because we made the two core subjects, cinema as a critical educational resource, and the modern and contemporary fine arts, two very different worlds, very different vocabularies. One for the masses, for the janta, very different. It has been entertainment, it has been an art form, it has been the source of excitement, glamour, celebrity, fashion, God knows how many other ideas, cinema. And the fine arts have been a very elitist, relatively elitist, quiet world with a handful of people, not more than a few 100,000 in a land of 1.4 billion. But the language it spoke had the heart of every aspect that the Indian tried to tackle. So it spoke on every facet of justice, every focus of social commentary, the nature of joy, beauty, knowledge, truthfulness. So when these two core subjects first come together, you've got a new bridge between the energy of cinema, and it's not just Indian cinema, it's world cinema, and the modern arts. And then you add the four material subjects of photography, which has become the most democratic creative discipline in the world. every human being has the potential of being a great photographer. You've got then the whole popular arts, what you see here, most of this, the political propaganda, the printed material, all the documents, these are part of popular arts, crafts of India. And then you have the very nature, which is the greatest source of knowledge in my view, and which I first went to study, and that's the architectural heritage of India. Because once upon a time our monuments were the centers of those communities. Everything in life centered around the monument: music, dance, philosophy, gymnasiums, banks, crafts policy, employment policy, gender policy. Everything emerged around that monument. So unless you study the architectural heritage of India and its impact on urbanization, its impact on the development of society, you don't get that link over 5,000-6,000 years. And then what we've been trying to do, as you said at the beginning, you use the word cultural investor,
Angel investor.
It's building cultural industry, but building cultural industry very differently from the West. If you see the history of cultural studies, it was set up in the 1950s in England, in Birmingham. A few scholars came together. England was, after World War II, she was a bit broken down. She was down and out. The people were unable to find identity again. The health service had been broken. The relationship with the arts was not in place. And cultural studies came out of that environment to rebuild England from what she was. Now, every country has different stages in which she has to rebuild so much of herself. If you see the last 20 years, it's a radical change from previous governments' mindsets. And so much has been done which has brought a new energy in India, so much has done which has taken it in another direction, so much is done which people criticize. But it's a process. India is much larger than any government, any one process. It absorbs it like nothing else. And that is what needs to be nurtured so it gets stronger, deeper, and we all have a deeper sense of ourselves in the best open way possible, to be the best in the world. There's no one in the world who can be the best in the world without an openness of the mind at the highest level. And that openness of the mind is critical to how we structure our educational systems. And there will be periods where people think they know the answer, they want to impose the answer, they will pass. Because anyone who loves India will in the end want to see it in the best version.
Neville just mentioned the term architectural heritage, and it's a coincidence that we are at the Habitat Center right now, another very good example of architecture, if I may put it so. And the occasion is an exhibition arranged and curated by Neville, Depth and Diversity, the Life, Legacy and Inspiration of Mahatma Gandhi, as part of the Rediscovering India via Self-Discovery exhibition series, part 5. Neville, I want you to tell our viewers more about, write-ups, books, whatever collections you have pertaining to Mahatma Gandhi that you have exhibited.
Well, I personally did not put ever anything. I've had from childhood, never really attached anything to myself. I probably from the age of 9, my concept to ownership was very different. I truly believe we are like custodians. We have a short life. In that short life, we need to hold it together, put it in a way for the next generation to partake, engage, and enjoy.
And enrich themselves.
Absolutely. So I've never really concerned myself with ownership. I don't have a house, I don't have a car, I don't really own much at all. But I've built collections for various institutions, and when I set up Tuli Research Center for India Studies. The objective was that at different stages of the day, let's imagine you have the desire that every day you want to do a new exhibition for the world. Whatever the subject. Today it could be Gandhiji, tomorrow it could be Netaji, the next day it could be Rajagopalaracharya. It's infinite. It could be Amitabh Bachchan, it could be Satyajit Ray, it could be Akbar Padamsee, it could be Lucknow, it could be Shatranj ke Khilari, it could be... the physical world has created these, all these things. The people, the institutions, the monuments, the films. They all are part of a physical world. The online world then replicates it, gives it a new energy, and tries to reach out to millions of people around the world. The physical world will have a reach of maybe 100, a few thousand, maximum tens of thousands. But now what we have with us through this technology is to reach the whole world. That potential means that the gap between the local, the individual, the specific, and the cosmic and the global
larger
is broken. It's one. It's up to you now what vision you take. It's up to you how you have the confidence in yourself to take on that outreach to the world. That confidence then depends on how you put together archives, knowledge bases, collections, people. At the end of the day, the greatest resource is the human mind still. I know we all are getting intimidated by artificial intelligence, but here you see, and the website you'll see, it's come through one mind. And I don't say any of this with any arrogance. I'm just saying that we have forgotten जो अंदर की आत्मा है, जो अंदर की जुनून है हर बंदे में. It's infinite. There's nothing. How can a machine be created by us and the machine can be potentially greater? It always will be, it might be catching up, but it still will be one step behind unless we fail to understand the links the digital world is having with other digital worlds. You know, that's the great science fiction movies we see, where the Terminators and the God knows come and take over the world, and the biological dies and the digital survives. Today we are now, I'll give you the best example to understand the death of biology and the growth of digital, and it's in memory. You take the memory of human beings today. This used to be a living part of our soul and Atma, the memory. Because all innovation, all brilliance of the mind dances on our memory. It fertilizes with the memory. And the younger generation is handed over their memory to machines. They've handed it over to their iPhones, they've handed it over to their computers, they've handed it over to someone else to remember, to Google, to search engines. So their mind is empty of all those things a life led would hold inside. अब वो किसी और के database में हो गए. So what are you filling that up with? You can't just leave the mind empty. सदियों से बन रहा है ये mind. If the vacuum is there, what does it get filled up with? It gets filled up with these distractions. मेरे को कितने likes मिल रहे हैं, मैं आज ये सर्व करती हूँ, ये देख लेती हूँ, ये देख. Nonsense. It's total loss. Anyone can hijack you and take your mind in this direction, this direction. Now, maybe there's a very positive side to this, because your opportunities are much more, or they seem to be much more. But I have hundreds of young minds interact with me, and I see the damage it's been done to their intelligence, to their sensitivity, to their sense of themselves.
But are there exceptions as well? I mean,
there's always exceptions.
Bright spark.
There's always exceptions to everything, but destruction is done when the norm follows, not when the exceptions follow. The exceptions are holding out when the norm is overtaken. A herd is never led by an exception unless it's the leader. So the concept of what's happening in the world today, why the ego has become so insecure and frail, why vulnerability has become the norm, why distraction is the norm, why the trust is dying, why anyone can lie and say anything, anyone can make any statement, no accountability. This is not how anyone wants to live the life. The moment that comes after you, when it's after someone else, you say, "Theek hai, chal raha hai." The moment it comes to attack you, it's an old Thomas More saying, if you break down your laws and the devil comes after you, who's there to defend you? Same way, when you've given up your memories, you've given up your intelligence and sensitivity because it's in someone else's. Suppose it breaks down. You had yesterday Spain, Portugal power shortage. हलचल हो गई है, सब कुछ टूट जाता है. What's the big deal? We didn't have electricity for more than 5,000 years. The human mind was still functioning beautifully, calmly, lovingly. So we are becoming more and more vulnerable in the way we are living our lives. And that needs a balance. We don't need to change some of the great technologies, but we need a major balance which is much stronger than what it is today. And that balance comes within our intellectual, aesthetic, psychological frameworks.
नेविल, एक बात ज़रूर जानना चाहेंगे आपसे. यहाँ जितनी तस्वीरें हैं, किताबें हैं, डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं और पुराने अखबारों 1944 तक के अखबारों का हम
पहले
1928 के भी हैं.
हिंद स्वराज है.
तो मैं ये ज़रूर पूछना चाहूँगा कि इतना सब इकट्ठा करने में आपको अंदाज़न कितने साल लग गए?
देखिए, मैंने आपको बोला, जैसे मैं इंडिया वापस आया 1993, उसी पल से बिल्कुल शुरू हुआ, क्योंकि हमें एक ही साल में पता चल गया था कि आर्काइव्स है ही नहीं देश में, लाइब्रेरीज है ही नहीं, वो रिश्ता जो ऑब्जेक्ट और स्टूडेंट का होता है वो बिल्कुल मिट चुका है. They don't have access, they don't have exposure, they don't have that energy. So इसको इकट्ठा करना is pivotal. So it's been 30 years of obsession. हमने इतना गवाया है, इतना खोया हुआ. I built a company for 21 years. I lost it 4-5 years ago. It's okay. I deeply sad. सब कुछ टूट जाता है, लेकिन आदमी को आगे बढ़ना पड़ता है.
Neville, as we come towards the end of our little conversation, I've just realized one thing. We veer towards the anthropological and the philosophical as we went along the way, in some measure. चलते चलते हम आपसे एक सवाल तो ज़रूर जानना चाहेंगे कि आपकी जो जीवन यात्रा है उसके ऐसे कुछ पहलू, जैसे आपका बचपन या आपकी पढ़ाई, उसके बारे में अभी तक कोई बात नहीं हुई हम दोनों में. हम ज़रूर जानना चाहेंगे कि क्या पढ़ाई की और कहाँ से.
मेरा बचपन बहुत प्यार मिला है मुझे, पूरी ज़िंदगी. मुझे ऐसा एक पल नहीं है मेरी ज़िंदगी में जिसमें मुझे प्यार नहीं मिला है. आशीर्वाद, एनिमीज भी बहुत है, दुश्मन भी बहुत बने हुए हैं, लेकिन प्यार बहुत ही अलग अलग चीज़ों से, जानवर से, बचपन से प्यार करता था. आज भी हम 300-400 बेजुबान स्ट्रे डॉग्स और कैट्स को बहुत ही प्यारी सी ज़िंदगी देते हैं. रोज़ मुसीबत होती है. मेरा जन्म हुआ बाहर इंग्लैंड में. मेरे पहले साल इंग्लैंड में थे. फिर मेरे पिताजी और मम्मी ने बोला आप इंडिया जाइए, क्योंकि आपकी हिंदी कैसे सीखोगे, संस्कृत से कैसे सीखोगे. तो मुझे बॉम्बे भेजा गया 11 साल की उम्र में. मैं एक स्कूल पे गया था जो कैथीड्रल एंड जॉन कॉनन स्कूल है, मशहूर स्कूल है, लेकिन वो ज़्यादा ही विलायती था. मैंने कुछ ज़्यादा इंडिया के बारे में वो अपने आप सीख जाते। इंडिया में जब हो आप अपने आप ही सीख जाते, किसी को सिखाना नहीं पड़ता। और भाषा एक चीज़ होती है, लेकिन लोग का बोलने का तरीका, प्यार करने का तरीका, सोचने का तरीका, क्योंकि बचपन से हमें हिंदी, जैसे कोई भी बाहर देश में हो उनको हिंदी फिल्म सॉन्ग्स, हिंदी फिल्म से, मुझे याद है मैं आनंद एक मूवी थी जिसमें मैं बहुत रोया, राजेश खन्ना अमिताभ बच्चन की थी, हाथी मेरे साथी। तो बचपन से सिनेमा का लगाव मेरे माता जी को था, तो मुझे भी प्यार हुआ। जब हम फिर कैथीड्रल के बाद सबने बोला कि आप बाहर की टॉप यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में जाइए, तो मैं फिर वापस इंग्लैंड गया। फिर मैंने अपने ए लेवल्स किए, फिर मैं लंदन स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स में गया। लंदन स्कूल ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स के बाद मैं ऑक्सफोर्ड गया। ऑक्सफोर्ड में मुझे सोच आई कि मैं बहुत हो गया, अब मैं वापस देश जाऊंगा। और मैं अपना सोच रहा था और पढ़ाई करने के लिए ऑन प्राइमरी एजुकेशन। फिर मैंने सोचा समझो इंडिया जाके कुछ खोलते हैं अपना स्कूल, यूनिवर्सिटी। तो फिर मैंने एक दो बार कोशिश किया, नाकामी थी, क्योंकि टाइम लगता है वो बदलने में। और फिर 93 में मैं आया, उसके बाद मैं वापस नहीं गया। तो ये 30 साल में मैंने अपने आप को एक प्रॉमिस बनाया कि इंडिया के लिए ऑक्सफोर्ड जैसे महान इंस्टीट्यूशन हम बनाएंगे। लेकिन बाय 2015-16 जब बहुत सी मुसीबतें मेरे ऊपर आए, लॉट्स ऑफ नेगेटिव थॉट्स, लोग जो भी बोलते, और मैं चुप रहा। मैंने
Were you with the corporate world?
I tried to build, I am not naturally a businessman, but I tried my best because I knew that creating wealth was pivotal to solving many problems of India. And all the knowledge in the world without economic independence are not going to work. So you could call me an entrepreneur to some extent. So these principles you can't bring to business that easily. And if you have to choose, I choose the principles, so I lost so much in business. And then people can take advantage, they can say whatever they like. So I didn't want to get angry, I didn't want to denigrate anyone else. So I decided to see how I can change myself and make it better. And so this website will hopefully bring that love and joy and knowledge to the system, and it's totally free. So let's see, dekhte hain.
Neville, we wish you all the best, and it was truly beyond the artistic, beyond the cultural. It was, for me, a very stimulating conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sparing time for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.